Hello, fam. Good afternoon. This is my fourth and final attempt at recording this. It is very clear to me that somebody needs this, because if they didn't, the enemy wouldn't be worried about me getting this actually all the way recorded in a way that I'm willing to post. So I am at work being an odd job I'm doing, a cleaning job, taking a quick little minute for my lunch, drinking my lunch. I know we can all see the pimple patches. Let's just ignore them. They're there. We all use them, whatever. So here's what I'm doing. You see all that nasty looking nastiness and yucky grossness, and it just looks really unclean, right? Well, I'm in this really old building. I don't know how old it is, but a friend that stopped by yesterday said that she would think it was probably built in the 60s. Smack dab in the middle of the projects here in Cookeville. And it used to be used, the last thing it was used for was like a community outreach for the youth thing. So there's been a lot of traffic and a lot of just kids slinging snot and boogers and food everywhere. And who knows how often it got cleaned and how thoroughly it got cleaned when it got cleaned, because that's not the priority when you're running stuff like that. And there's just a lot of wear and tear in here. And so, fun fact, two things about myself that many of you that know me personally will know, and you might be able to guess even if you don't. Number one, I'm a perfectionist. I like things to be exactly so being the way that it's supposed to be. I like things to be clean. I like things to be in order. I like things to be in their little boxes. Everything has a box and everything fits in its box, and the box is closed the right way, right? And I also, number two, I like to do a good job. Sometimes that kind of mingles into my pride, but it's also, I do everything as unto the Lord. So whether I'm scrubbing a toilet, which there are 4 toilets here that I have scrubbed very well, and I am not satisfied with 2 of them, or I'm doing actual ministry and preaching from a pulpit or writing a message or making this video right now, I want to do it not like I'm doing it for myself, because I could care less if someone else's toilet is clean anyways, right? And not like I'm doing it for you or anyone else, but like I'm doing it for the Lord. And after the Lord has given me so much, what do I owe him besides everything, right? So I want to do a really, really good job at everything I do. And this building is going to be the death of me, because it's clean. I would eat off of any surface, the ceiling, the floor, anywhere in either one of these sets of offices right now, for the way that I've cleaned them. I have spent the last 3 days climbing on things, dusting ceilings, every nook and cranny, crawling around. I know that it's clean, but when I look at it with my eyes, I'm not okay with it. I'm looking around, and this is where I was yesterday. I was in the floor, sitting in the floor. It was a couple hours before I called it quits for the day. I was on my last room, the second half of the last room for the day. And I was working on the bottom of the walls, wiping off the walls. And this is the common area of this particular building. So this is probably where the most traffic was. It's definitely the dirtiest and the most well-worn. And there was another dried up clump of what was once gooey on the wall, and I'm trying to get it off, and it's a wall, and it's got paint, and it's old paint on top of that, so it's kind of fragile, and I got to be kind of careful. I'm trying to scrape it off, and off came a tiny little chunk of the bright orange paint. So now there's a little white speck instead of a speck of dried goo. Not really sure which one's worse. Neither one of them are good. So I had to lay down all my tools, and I had to think about it for a minute, and the Lord downloaded something in me. He didn't speak to me this loud booming voice or this message that he gave me in words. He just downloaded some information, some wisdom into my heart, and brought my attention to a couple of things. And what it was is that this building is old, and this building hasn't been just sat on and not used. It's been used. It's been very well used. It's had children running amok in it, and community outreach, and tired people doing community service and doing service for the Lord, and it's had a lot of things going on, and that's just what I know of it for. And there's no telling what it's been used for before that, and what else. And so it would make sense that this building would have scars. It would make sense that this building would bear evidence of having a lot of activity and a lot of things done in it, right? So as I'm thinking of that, as I'm looking at the walls and the floors that I'm still disgusted with, and I'm thinking about that, I think about myself too. He brings my attention to myself, and I think of my body and how dissatisfied I am with my body almost all of the time. And I think about my mind and how, you know, I am almost all of the time dissatisfied with something, some function in my mind. There's always something that I'm just critical of that could be better, that I could be doing more, I could be being better, I could, you know, and about my life, how my life, some days I'm kind of proud of myself, you know, but when I really look at the big scheme of things, there's always stuff that I can pick apart that I'm really critical about because things aren't fitting into their boxes. Because I don't have a neat, organized little shelf of a life with everything where it's supposed to be, where I, you know, it's not beautiful in the sense that it's pristine. And the Lord dealt with me on that in that moment where I'm thinking of this building. And, you know, I was talking with the person who brought me in to do this job yesterday, and we've talked about this a couple of times, but really more yesterday than before, about how big of a blessing this is. You know, this is a huge facility for their organization, and there's going to be so much good coming out of this opportunity and this place and this piece of ground and these stones built into walls and this floor and these walls that I can't seem to get to sparkle. There's going to be so much fruit and so much goodness, and it is such a good thing. And the fact that I can't get it to sparkle, the fact that the scuffs are still on the floor, which we could probably get a buffer to get those out, but you know, I've got other things to do and I don't have the time and I don't know how to use one anyway. So that's something that we'll have to address later if we're going to do that. But you know, the fact that there's still scuff marks in the floor and still stuff here and there that doesn't look beautiful isn't going to change what can happen in this building, isn't going to change the impact that can be made out of this structure, out of this opportunity that they've been given and I've been blessed to be a part of. And what the Lord dealt with me on is that, you know, not only that, but you can look around and see the things that have happened here. You can see how good this place has been for people before and how it's going to be in the future as well. And then there's my life again. There's my life, my messy life with my 38-year-old face and body that I'm not satisfied with the majority of the time, that bears the scars and bears the evidence of a life lived. You know, I can't say that all of my scars and all of my evidence come from a life well lived, but I can say that even the scars that are bad, for example, the scars up and down my entire arm and other places on my body from cutting myself, the scars and the permanent, you know, little divots I have in my body, we call them track marks, but from my drug use and the other things that I bear internally or in my health that I have in my body that are evidence that I see. You may not see it, but I see it from my 17 years of addiction. Those may not have been part of a life well lived, but now today it's a lesson that I well lived. So even though those memories may not be good and that time may not have been good, I learned something valuable that I can still use today. So in its own way, it is all evidence of a life well lived. All the scars and all the evidence in my life of usage and of wear and tear are just evidence that I'm not stagnant, evidence that I'm not useless, and that I'm actually doing something. Because if I didn't have any of these scars or any of these signs of wear and tear, then would I be able to say that I had been doing anything? If I wasn't so tired that I couldn't really think straight at the end of some days, would I have really been running the race that we are called to run? I'm not saying that we have to work ourselves to the bone and beat ourselves ragged with our tasks and with our jobs and with our daily lives. But what I am saying that is if we don't come out unscathed, if we come out a little bit rugged, maybe even a little rough around the edges, and need some rest to recover every once in a while. I have to explain a boo-boo or a scar to someone every once in a while because of a life well lived and a life of being busy, and a life of serving, a life of allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, which leads us to getting hurt. You know, all of those things, if that's the end result of living like that, then so be it. So be it. I will bear the scars and I will bear the marks. So while I am so grateful for that message, what an incredible message, and I just pray that He gives me the grace to apply that to every situation as time passes, because I'm real good about getting really good messages and being all on board and then forgetting them later when I need them, just because I think we all do that. While I'm loving that part, I still need the grace to accept this building and the best that I can do, not being the best that I want. So y'all just pray for me on that. And I know that this is for someone, because this is, like I said, take number 4, and here I am finally getting it out, and I can just feel the Holy Spirit all over this. So listen to this and apply it. If this is for you, don't forget it, that no matter what your scars and what your marks are, you're still beautiful, and it's a mark of a life well lived, and it's okay. Y'all have a blessed rest of your day.